All right, today on the club, we got the real alpha Settleman. No Jack. No, it is Casey, his younger brother, aka the intern, on a bit of a sports betting heater these days. Also been known to dabble in the best ball streets, and we know the hot takes grow like I don't know, trees in the Settleman family. So we're gonna hear what he has cooked up for us today. We got Andy, we got Clay, it's Pete. Let's do it. I feel like Christian Kirk is the most eliminator ass player I've ever seen in my life.
No, I go to Costa Rica almost every day.
I wouldn't search Will Levis while you were sharing your screen.
All right, Casey, is this your first time on the show or have you made appearances?
I think I've made appearances via Jack's camera. I don't think I've ever had my own box before. So I'm extremely excited, and especially not having him on here as well. I'm very excited.
Yeah, pretty big alpha move. We didn't even invite Jack to come on today. We just invited you to come on. Yeah.
I love it.
Big time.
Clay, how are you doing?
I'm good, man. Got a little Peloton in, a little best ball drafting on an official cardio one. Got some chicken marinating for tonight. So yeah, no complaints. Solid afternoon. Hop back in the work streets after this.
What about you, Andy? How you doing?
I'm good. I broke 100 for the first time ever yesterday playing golf, so that was a big day for me. Clean 99. Otherwise, yeah, I can't complain. It's a rainy week in New York, so be inside not doing very much, I think.
Nice. Yeah, I actually got to see two of you in the flesh a couple weekends ago at the BDGE trivia event. Thanks, Andy, for coming out, and Casey, I guess thanks to Snapback for coming out. Did you guys win a single game?
We actually did against you guys.
Sorry, I did forget that.
Funny enough, our only victory of the day was we started off 1-0 against you guys, Madden 99 overalls with some controversy mixed in. And then after that, we went defeated and did not make the playoffs, but a fun event nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a really fun event. It was very well done. It was long, but it was fun.
Yeah, Nick did an awesome job. That actually reminds me, I'm doing a doubleheader with Nick later this week. He's going to do randomizer on Thursday, followed by After Dark. I'm going to ask him a little bit more about like behind the scenes of organizing that trivia contest. And I believe the footage has already started to trickle out, right, on their trivia page. Okay.
Yeah, it's on their YouTube channels. I think I saw the first episode went up, which was I think the first 5 games, and then the second half, and then I assume the playoffs.
Nice. What was at one point I looked over and Jack had black electrical tape over his mouth, which should kind of just be the default for him. But was there a specific reason that had happened?
So when we were playing, we were up 1, and then Jack was trying to get our partner to milk the clock before giving an answer. And Nick gave us a point off for Jack talking because the rules were no speaking when it's not your turn. So he made sure that he would not make the same mistake for game 2 and put tape over his mouth.
That makes sense. It's fair. Yeah. It for people who don't know, you guys Snapback shares an office with BDGE. That's why we see the BDGE over your logo. Could you not get a Snapback logo as part of your view today?
It's funny you say that. Nick came in to the office and just started throwing shit up on the wall, drilling things into certain places, and this was one place he chose to put a sticky BDGE sticker up, and not really something that can be interchanged. So just something we have to live with.
Yeah. What are the power dynamics like in the office? Does it feel like it's a true 50-50 thing, or is there one group that's kind of alphaing the other?
So it's funny you ask. We recently have hired a few more people to Snapback overall, but also before Jack and I were the only ones in person, and now we have some other in-person colleagues who come into the office. And since then, before it was just a big open working space, and since we brought in a couple more people, they have moved into the ping pong room and used the ping pong table as their desk. So we've dominated the space, the main working area, pretty well over the past couple weeks, and they've deferred to the ping pong table as their desk.
That makes sense.
Kind of sucks for you though. You're the big ping pong guy in the office. Like the day I came in, that was you were camped out over there.
It's funny when Nick and I play, like they essentially just get dispersed to different parts of the office. Nick's like, all right, let's wrap it up so we can clear the table.
What as for a real question for office dynamics, what is that like being in? Because I've always thought of it like two ways, right? You can like do all these collabs and you can shoot stuff in person, which is awesome. But then also it seems incredibly distracting. Like if I had to go write an article for an hour, like I don't know how I would do that in a communal office like that.
Yeah, I would say for the most part it's a positive, but there's obviously like every now and again we just get into like a screaming match argument about whatever the top 10 quarterbacks in the middle of the office. So whether you want to work or don't, you don't really have a choice. But for the most part, people are working, and we just had Bobby Okereke come into the office, and Jack and I were the only ones in the office. And when we wanted to do some content, BDGE helped set it up, helped host. We did some trivia. They helped host it, and Jameson was in the trivia, so it was nice to have them be able to like fill spots that we wouldn't have had on our own to do different people. So overall, definitely a positive.
Yeah, I feel like a long time ago I worked in a communal office, and just like noise canceling headphones are the best thing ever.
Yeah.
when you need to focus, you just got noise canceling headphones and some loud music, and
that's pretty much it. When you want to stay locked in, you just throw the AirPods in.
I ended up switching when I had my old desk job. For a while I had like little earbuds in, but then like people couldn't see them. And so then I got like the really big ones, kind of like this, that were obnoxious. And even if I wasn't listening to something, I'd just keep them on all day because it was like talent for socializing. It'd be like, oh, Peter's, busy right now.
That's a real goated move, is like have on the over-the-ear noise canceling headphones with nothing playing, but it just still blocks out enough of the ancillary noise that you can stay real hyper focused.
Yeah, I know. It was like, it was a part of my life too, where like I already had like, I was doing so much stuff online, and, you're doing Twitter and Discord and all of that or whatever. And it's like, I don't want to socialize with my coworkers. I want to just socialize with my online friends, where it's like a lot of people who are like use their office as their social elements. They're like, hey, just like, let's sit around and, shoot the shit for an hour. I'm like, no, I got to talk fantasy football with my friends online. I mean, come on. Let's see. Any other takes, Casey, from the trivia event? Do you guys feel like it was embarrassing for BDGE to lose their own trivia event?
I would say, yeah. I mean, when your entire 9 to 5 is just doing trivia, and then you have people who work actual jobs come in and just do your job essentially part-time, but better than what you do full-time, if I were them, I would definitely be upset. The one thing they can hang their hat on is that Nick was hosting, and they got the random from the audience to join their team. So if they want to have an out, it could be the fact that they didn't have Nick. So that's fair enough.
Andy, were there any of the categories where you were screaming that you would have known a ton of them, or what did you think of the overall questions?
Yeah, so I candidly dipped out like halfway through and then came back at the end because, like I said, it was really long. And, and I was there with my buddy and both of his fiance and my wife. And after like 2 hours of trivia, they were like, can we please go somewhere else and not listen to sports trivia for a bit? Yeah. But so from the earlier ones, I remember I liked the Madden 99 one, but I didn't realize at first that it wasn't defensive players as well. And so like that was throwing me off it, but I liked that one. Like, I remember it took forever to get a couple of the guys towards the end who were earlier, like Marvin Harrison and a few others, and I did know those. I liked the double team one. What was it? It was players who.
Oh yeah, they've 1,000 scrimmage on 2 different teams or something.
Yeah, I liked that one. I thought that was fun. There a couple that started to get towards, like, there was the running back one with colleges, and I mean I could have just like guessed running backs, but I'm right when it gets to anything college football, I totally am out.
The SEC rushing leader one was by far my worst one. Like that was tough.
Yeah, like I could have just guessed good running backs, but literally my strategy would have just been who were our guys who I know were good college running backs, because I couldn't tell you where any of them went to school.
Yeah. My favorite
I thought they did a really good job with the categories overall. Like after like sitting there for the first couple, I was just thoroughly enjoying playing along and trying to guess.
Yeah. The curating, it was like a mix. There was the Madden, there was a good amount of college stuff, NFL stuff. My favorite one was the most recent day 2 wide receiver pick. for a team. And so you're getting lots of like dynasty guys, 2003, 23, 24. So some fun stuff there.
Well, even the first category, like the most recent 40-point PPR game, I thought that was a fun one to try to think back. Like Jonas Gray for the Patriots was a great one and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah, to clarify, Beastburf, in case I haven't made it clear, our guest today, Casey Settleman, let me get his name up here on the screen. This is Jack's brother. By how much younger brother?
Today is 3 years because I'm June, he's July. So for a month, we're 2 years apart, but for 11, we're 3.
Okay. And you have the name, The Intern, down here, but you now are a full-time Snapback employee. You're not doing intern things. You're doing very much content things, correct?
Yeah, I've not been an intern for about 2.5 years, but the title just, like when you get a title, you might as well just like when we do like our meetups at games, like people just know me as the intern, and it's just, it's easier that way. And I'm fine with it. Create a character within the story.
It's even better we invited Casey on to this Jack's birthday. That's hilarious.
Today's Jack's birthday too.
Yeah.
Jeez, happy birthday, Jack. Jack announces a 7-figure deal with Underdog on an Underdog sponsored show that he was a core founding member of. And it's his birthday, and we invited his brother on the show. That's the best thing I've accidentally ever done. Happy birthday, Jack.
Jackie Packs.
He's speaking on a panel for Snapchat today. So
you have to give them the plug.
The plug. Yes, I will. Which he is leaving. So, invite or not, he would not have been able to attend it. So let's just pretend that was the case.
Do you want to get this plug out of the way that he's teasing here? I'll go full screen for you.
So he was wondering if it was worthwhile our time. I'm curious to see what the comments say, and more if you guys thought it would be worthwhile our time if we got to every stadium, arena, whatever it is, an hour earlier than we would have to make our usual content when we're on the ground at these games. If we got like a big sign that said giving away a free, let's say we're at a Jets game, a free Aaron Rodgers Jets jersey, and we created a line, and Jack and one other person were handling some sort of like mini carnival game. So whether it's like a ring on a string that you're trying to get on a hook and whatever, we create this line of people. In order to be eligible to play the game to win the jersey, you have to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And he said it could take an hour of 50 games we go to, we get 1,000 subscribers giving away something that has odds of like between 60 to 1 and 100 to 1 of hitting. So we're only giving away a few jerseys, so it's not that expensive. And we would get 1,000 subscribers over 50 games. We get 50,000 subscribers for the channel. And whether or not that would be worthwhile, if we could create a line that people would want to do that, if a free jersey is a big enough draw, and curious to get your guys' thoughts on that.
So my thought is the concept for getting subscribers sounds very fun. And I like the idea of you guys just having like a dunk tank at every event and letting people like dunk Jack. That sounds great. But I will say from like the back end, YouTube algo stuff, like, wouldn't you be running into the same issue with Jack famously deleting that account where you're getting subscribers who aren't necessarily going to be wanting to watch the content because they just subbed for the thing. And then that brings your view time and your watch time down.
That's exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say as well.
My response was literally that. I was like, didn't we go through the cheating of, he said this is obviously different because in theory, all the people who were at a Jets game that we are making content of that game, in theory, those people should be at least be hit on a 50% shot or 30% shot that these people are interested in the content we would be making anyways. That's free. So
yeah,
that may be. So that's what he said was the difference is it's not the exact same, but that was my original response.
I got one for you. So just a remix on that idea that accomplishes both goals. You know how there's like silent discos? You know, people go to these Brooklyn warehouses and whatever.
Yeah.
What if you guys had silent discos for your YouTube videos where you get a collection of 50 people and they all have to pull it up on their phone, on their earbuds and watch the video. And when they exit and prove that they watched the full video and everyone's watching it in tandem, they're like high-fiving and laughing at moments together. That might be the idea.
Silent potting.
Out with the premiere function on YouTube and in with the silent viewing altogether. Like that.
I'm very into ways that you can like force people to watch your content or like do whatever it is to up your numbers. I think that's a good one.
Yeah, or like, you know how like views right off the rip when you post it are good? Like what if you did do like the premiere synced up, like a video went live at that like thing, and then you're like, everybody get around, throw your headphones in, watch this video together when it goes live. And then at the end of that video, there's like or along the way, there's checkpoints, there's like a code, there's this Rosetta Stone that they get a clue to, and then they walk up to Jack and they put the puzzle pieces in, and then they get their snapback pin. It sounds like a lot of work, but it could work.
You just made that a lot of work.
Here's the real combo. If you did like the ring like catch idea or whatever, you have them pull up the video on their phone, they have to hit play, and they can't stop the video until they actually get the ring connected on the other side. So then if they just suck and it keeps going over, it just spills over into the playlist of your next video, the next video, and you're just racking up those watch times.
Or I got another idea. You know how sometimes you'll go to, you go see like Hamilton and they confiscate your phones, like when you before you go into the theater, you guys confiscate phones and then you get them all playing the video on loop while you entertain them for 20 minutes and they give the phones back. And you're like, thank you.
They're none the wiser.
We're gonna bill Snapback $1,000 per minute for that
brainstorm.
advice. Yeah, you're welcome.
I love it.
What do you guys doing for Jack's birthday tonight?
He's going to speak at the Snapchat conference. I'm not doing anything with him tonight. So yeah,
nice.
those are the plans. Are nothing.
What do they talk about at a Snapchat conference? I feel like Snapchat's pretty figured out. What's the conference for?
That's a fantastic question. I have no idea what he's going to speak about. This is not something that I was involved in. It's pretty segmented at this point. If it's a Jack Settleman opportunity, I'm not involved. If it's a Snapback Sports opportunity, I'm involved. So he's handling that, and I wish him the best of luck at whatever he's speaking about.
Where does that line fall? Can you get more specific there, please?
I mean, like, Jack Settleman, the Snapchat expert, is going to speak today, and there's certain brand deals that are just for Jack Settleman's accounts rather than Jack Settleman and Snapback Sports, all encompassing all the things that fall under the Snapback Sports umbrella.
Tough.
So Casey, when I think I met you for the first time, I think we did an Underdog or a Club Top Shot live stream in Brooklyn.
Yep.
And I remember you were at the time getting absolutely obsessed with best ball. Was it your first year drafting?
Yeah, that was my first year. I max entered that year. I had a team in the final. So I am a 1-for-1 conversion rate of max enter to profiting on a max enter. I have not. That was 2 years ago. I didn't do it last year. I was thinking about doing it this year, as I do have some funds in place to do that. But with the soccer tournaments and me doing my soccer content, that took up way more time than I originally anticipated that it would. And now with those ending, I just feel like I'm a little too far behind the 8 ball. And it's like, I know that if you want to make a true investment and actually at least try and get ROI, you should essentially try and max enter just to get as many bullets. So I just feel like I'm going to fall at like 25 to 50 if I started now.
So you don't want, because your brother took the strategy last, Jack, famously in his head has decided he has to max. And then the only way he can accomplish that, because he doesn't actually love drafting, is just to auto 150 teams like a week before the season starts and then end up with like 50% Jonathan Taylor that week he's falling. So you don't want to do that, is what you're saying?
No, so I actually enjoyed, like, every single day I this was when I graduated. This was the summer after I graduated from school. I had just started for Jack and didn't really have that many responsibilities yet. So I watched your streams. What was it? It's every Monday, right?
Yeah.
Good answer. I watched those every Monday and did a draft. Then I did 2 almost every single night starting at like 5, just because I was done work at that point. Now I'm much busier, so I don't have that time. But I did enjoy it and still do enjoy it. That's why I tried to get into a couple of the bigger drafts, because then you don't, in theory, have to enter as many.
So you're doing did you do a fast like Bulldog or Mastiff or slow or what?
I tried. I thought Jack had bigger Twitter pool to get that to fill up, but I was left with, we only got 2 more entrants. So then once the car ride ended, I have not been able to fill a room yet.
Why don't you?
I feel like those will start filling like next month.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do some shows too, where stream big dogs and stuff on, so we'll get those filled. But yeah, maybe next time hit up a real best ball thought leader when you're trying to get a room filled, Casey, and we can help you out.
Yeah, hitting up Jack was definitely a mistake. Very short-sighted.
So we do got to get some hot takes from you. We know you and Jack are good at cooking these up. From your few drafts you've done, what's some stuff you like for 2024?
So I have more, I would say, overall football hot takes that obviously then apply to fantasy football and best ball. I'm not sure like ADP wise I have the hottest takes, but I'm super high on the Dolphins. Like I took Tua to win MVP this year.
Wow.
I think so. I'm super bullish on that offense. So whenever I can stack Tua with ideally, obviously Tyreek, but either Waddle, I'm always interested in that. And then the other big bet I'm taking is I have 2 MVP bets on Hurts and Tua. I think the Eagles offense is going to be insanely good. So similarly to Tua, Waddle, Tyreek, I'm doing the same thing, trying to get Hurts, AJB, and Devonta anytime I can. I don't know if that's a hot take by any means.
The Tua love specifically is a hot take. I would say a lot of best ball bros are like, love Tyreek, love Waddle, love the running backs, but Tua, what do you say to the haters who say his brain is going to freeze in the cold of winter?
So honestly, I don't have like a huge rebuttal, and that's obviously which is a problem because it is the playoffs. Obviously, I understand that all, but there's a world where climate change, global warming, maybe it's not that cold this winter. Who knows?
Ooh, that's the take.
So
what if El Nino is just a year off?
Like they have some. So the MVP bet in my head is he has a ton of huge games. The reason Lamar won it last year is because he had that stretch where we beat the Chargers in prime time, we beat the Jags in prime time, we beat the Niners on Christmas, and like that built the storyline that won Lamar MVP. I think he is going to have a ton of those same opportunities against the 49ers, the Texans, the Jets late in the season. So I think while it does get cold, I think that has been a little bit obviously overplayed. I mean, when the Ravens and Dolphins played, I think that was week 17 when we clinched the division. It was like 60 and sunny in Baltimore. So like throwing Tua completely off your option list just because it's going to potentially get cold in some weeks. I mean, any home game, obviously it's Miami. Like, I just think that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
I end up with a bunch of Tua, it feels like. Just, I mean, anytime I have Tyreek or Waddle, like he's just an obvious target. I definitely don't take him without those guys, though.
Yeah. I also feel like Mike McDaniel, I feel like is like a college coach in the sense of he's the only one who doesn't care like to rest him. Like he's more than open to throwing the ball up 40 points and just like pouring it on teams. And in this format, I feel like that's obviously a huge bonus when a lot of coaches, you get up 21 points in the fourth quarter, and they're already thinking about resting their quarterbacks.
What was the deal? So I know Clay hit you up asking for some of yours. We needed someone for the thumbnail. You said Marvin Harrison, but then your brother was in the mentions today saying like he's the one who invented the Marvin Harrison hot take.
I wish I assumed he had brought that up with you guys that I didn't know about, but apparently his hot take, which sucks because I never want to be aligned on his hot takes, is that he thinks Marv is going to be wide receiver 1. I don't think he's going to be wide receiver 1. I didn't know he thought this, so it is unfortunate that we have a similar hot take, but I do think he's going to be a top 5 wide receiver this year in best ball.
That is so unfortunate because Casey, that would have been a hot take, like the top 5. But when you couch it coming off of my brother says he's going to be the wide receiver 1 over CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, and Tyreek Hill, it's like, okay, Casey, cool take.
Right.
Yeah. So
it is.
Jack came on and said like top 2, if I'm not mistaken, like when he came on last.
So I unfortunately was unaware of that. That's my hot take positively. My hot take in the negative form is I'm fading everything that has to do with the Bengals and the Jets. I think Burrow is still injured, regardless of him being cleared. I think it was today or yesterday, and I don't care about the blonde buzz cut. I think he looks good. I won't deny it. But I think his everything I've read about the elbow is that it's a worse injury and actually doesn't ever fully recover. It just, people just
Joey
get caught
Bieber.
in the aura. So I get it, but I don't think his elbow's healthy. And then with the Jets, everyone just thinks that Rodgers is good to go. And while I think the Achilles is healed, I just think he hasn't really played good football in over 3 years. Like when his last year in Green Bay, I didn't think he was that good to begin with. They lost a home game against a team not even in playoff contention to not make the playoffs. So I'm just not very bullish on the Jets offense either.
Yeah,
the Marv stuff.
I kind of get the Jets thing. Like I was saying to someone, like, it's a little bit weird that, of the offenses we're taking 2 players from in the first round, one is the Jets.
Right.
And like I think the counter is like, oh, they're going to be good because their defense is going to be good.
Yeah.
But to me, it's also like, well, if their defense is really good, it's not like they're going to have to be airing the ball out and like playing catch up. So I'm not even sure that's a good thing, but I get it because it's such a concentrated offense. Like the rest of the skill position players don't get you super excited, but I'm still a little bit nervous about the Jets as well.
And we've seen Rodgers, like I get the Garrett Wilson thing because we've seen Rodgers just spam Devontae Adams and people think a similar thing is going to happen with Garrett. But my thing, and this could be an overthink, but when I see the way I saw the Jets last year is the offense was so bad and the defense was so good, where it was like, just don't lose the game on offense. Like, don't give them a pick 6. Don't give them a short field. Like, play very safe on offense. And then the Jets offense will hand you the game in some form or fashion with short fields, with turnovers. Like, they're not going to have the same thing to where their defense will make other teams make more mistakes because offenses are going to have to open up against the Jets. But I don't think everyone's just assuming that this Jets defense is going to be as dominant and give them a plethora of opportunities that they've previously had. Whereas I see it like offenses were playing a very play not to lose the game style of offense against the Jets last year.
Yeah, I guess the one counter I would say for like best ball purposes with those guys both going in the first round is I think you could definitely have a dynamic like we had with the Raiders last year or in previous years, right? Where you have like Jacobs and Adams just like dominating everything. And you'd never like, stack up the whole team or like whatever, but it's just like every running back touch is going to Breece Hall and every wide receiver target's going to Garrett Wilson. And like the market is kind of saying that. No one wants Mike Williams. Aaron Rodgers is free in drafts. Malachi Corley is free. So I do think like drafting just off of talent and just being like, these guys are superstars, but I don't actually have to fully buy into the team can work out. Yeah,
no, I definitely get that. And Breece is amazing. And having watched Garrett in person at school for a long period of time, he's obviously insanely talented. So I'm not fully doubting him. I just don't, like Andy said, I don't know if the offense regardless of how many touches they're obviously going to get, are going to pay off 2 top 10 positions.
My thing with Garrett is just like, it can't be worse than last year. He was pretty fucking good last year. Like Aaron Rodgers in a wheelchair is a better situation for him than what he had last year at quarterback. So like, unless Adams gets traded there, I just don't see really a downside case.
Yeah.
Because like, what happens next? Okay, Aaron Rodgers sucks or he gets hurt again as a backup quarterback. Same situation as last year. I was still happy to play Garrett Wilson most weeks.
Yeah.
The Marvin Harrison take is fun because generally I feel like most people are like, Marvin Harrison's overpriced. Even people in underdog land who love drafting these rookies, love drafting wide receivers, and everyone kind of just shrugs their shoulders and says, you know, who else am I supposed to take at 2-1? Might as well take Marv. And yet, so you saying like, I don't think I've heard someone in a while say like, no, he deserves to be at the 1-2 turn, or like he should be a top 12 pick. So that is still a very spicy take.
Yeah. For me, I already think he's like a top 5 talent to begin with. And then like, obviously Kyler is healthy. And I don't love Kyler. I mean, I feel like this is a pretty common thing. I don't love Kyler. Like I would want him as my quarterback, but fantasy wise, he's always produced. And like, they're going to be theoretically with the defense they have, unless they turn it around, they're going to be behind in a lot of games. And I just feel like he's going to be getting so many targets, and I feel like he's going to be super open. And Kyler is someone who can get him the ball. Like, I know this is going to be crazy, and this may be my bias against the Bengals, but like I would rather have him than Jamar.
Okay, that's definitely a hot take.
Yeah.
What about Jefferson?
Yeah.
No,
it is.
Jefferson is like we saw it last year. Regardless of who's throwing him the ball, he's going to get his, and as long as he stays healthy, he's still that guy. Jamar, kind of a similar thing when Burrow went out, but like I may be hanging on too much to this injury, but I don't think Burrow is going to be slinging it around, especially early as he eases back into it as much as people think.
All right, how about
moved to fully drafting Jefferson over Jamar?
Really?
Fully,
okay.
but regularly, probably at least like half the time or so when I'm given the option, I take Jefferson over Jamar.
I still take Jamar over Jefferson, but Jefferson's my most drafted player in round 1. I think he's a slam dunk. When I made my video on the Deposit Kingdom, I did best pick in every round, and I put Justin Jefferson. Like he's the most, like it's hard to get a discount in round 1, but like Jefferson is like the one discounted player. Yeah. What about some boots on the ground take for the Ravens? You got anything fun for us there?
It's getting popular for sure, but it's hard not to buy into the bait talk. Being someone who watches every play of every game, he truly did get open a ton last year. And for whatever reason, just him and Lamar, the timing was just always off. He was open on a lot of deep routes. He was open on a few crossers, whether it was behind him or on the deep routes, it was an overthrow. Their chemistry just has never been there, and which is weird because Lamar cycles through a ton of wide receivers that he doesn't get a ton of time with, and he actually has had time with Bate. I mean, he's obviously been injured, but I really, really think it could be a breakout year. Second year under Monken, I feel like Zay is going to get a ton of attention. And I think Bate could really, really have an unreal year.
I can't get you on the Devontae Walker train. That's how I'm playing it.
It's just like Nelly was like, in the weirdest way, Lamar's kind of safety blanket. Like on third downs, it was like Nelly over the middle a lot. So I just don't.
That's Nelson Aguilar for you
It
Ravens.
took me a second to realize what he was
It
saying.
took me a second too. I was like, what?
Yes, Nelson Aguilar. So I just don't see a lot of playtime for him. I mean, obviously, you're not saying he's going to get every snap of the game, but especially with Likely and Andrews, I would just be shocked if he really sees the field. Like, there could be definitely some games where he just never touches the field, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. I mean, when you're taking, Walker, he's a last round pick. Bateman is a couple rounds more expensive. You're more just playing for the late season. Hey, they're going to see what they have in Walker, get him on the field for 3 to 4 games and see if he can pop. Any other final hot takes here before Andy shows us some cool stuff at IKB and we build a lineup with him?
Any other hot takes? I don't think there's anything off the top of my head. Like, I don't know how people that's fair. I don't know how people are drafting him really, because I'm not that deep as I have been in previous years, but I think Josh Allen is going to be like, people who say the Bills are going to regress big time this year. I'm not buying into that at all. I think he's as good as advertised, and he doesn't need a Diggs or anything like that to thrive. And I think if you want to say he's got to put the team on his back, I feel like that's even better for fantasy, and he's going to do that anyways. So I would. What is he being drafted as quarterback wise?
QB.
Third-ish.
He's QB1.
Is he one
in the 4th round? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Then,
he goes, and then Hurts goes right after him.
Okay. Then that's not a hot take at all. I think that is accurate for sure.
The difference is he was going in the 2nd round most of last year. Now he's like, you can sometimes get him in the mid 4th.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. I would. He's definitely someone
thoughts in the receiver room with
on
Buffalo?
the receiver room.
Yeah.
In my dynasty league, I drafted Keon Coleman.
This year's QJ.
It's so funny you say that because I drafted QJ in my dynasty.
Oh no,
the year before. So I really hope not.
Me too.
I don't know. As a Buckeye, is Curtis Samuel the guy?
I think so.
He legitimately could be their top target earner in that offense.
Right,
like that wouldn't be. I think Kincaid is still the favorite to lead that team in targets, but Samuel can't be far behind him odds wise.
I just feel like the only thing I'm seeing about Keon Coleman ever is about him as a human rather than him as a football player.
Yeah.
I don't know if that should that feels like a bad thing, that I'm not seeing any hype about how great his hands have been or how good his route running has been. So that
they straight up drafted for content, not for receptions.
Right. He seems to be crushing the content world. I'm curious to see if he will crush the actual football world, which I'll need after drafting QJ in my previous dynasty draft.
It is Kincaid, so true.
Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins.
Oh, of course you were going to sneak in some UNC guys there after being quiet during the Devontae Walker portion.
I had to pick and choose my spots.
That's right. It is the Keon Coleman stuff so funny because he's like a superstar personality. You just want to love the guy. And then every Brandon Bean quote is he's got a long way to go. Today there was a highlight circulating of him making a pretty cool catch at camp. So there we go. He's back.
What is the updated QJ? Is there any hope for him, or is it's over?
There was literally a report
play this year.
Nathaniel Popper, I think he's the athletic reporter for the Chargers, and he said DJ Chark is the 3rd wide receiver with Palmer and Ladd, and that he was going to be the 4th rotational guy, which I think is kind of to be expected. The copium take is that John Harbaugh went against Quentin Johnston in college, that TCU and QJ just went nuclear that game, and that he's going to have a soft spot for him, in the same way Chip Kelly used to love every Oregon player.
I love that take.
Yeah. That is the funniest copium take.
That is, if you're holding on to that, we're in trouble. All I heard is that I'm trying to move him off my team ASAP.
But that's the one coach it works for. You can imagine his office. He just has his whiteboard, his TV, watching film and stuff, and then a fat head poster of fucking QJ just sitting there thinking about this motherfucker.
Now that I'm for fantasy life, I'm doing a little bit more writing about redraft leagues just because that audience is way more redraft and managed league focused. And I was thinking through the Chargers, QJ and Kamani Vidal, I never want to click them on underdog because it's these guys could be stone zeros, but those guys are the perfect redraft picks because they're cheap you just see what this Jim Harbaugh offense looks like, and like maybe you hit on one of them, and if not, you just cut them, move on real quickly. But like best ball, it's like that just could be a 0.
Yeah, from someone who's used to the Greg Roman offensive coordinator life as we were in Baltimore. There's not a single wide receiver that would ever interest me under his system. Similar to I'm drafting 0 of Justin Herbert because the offense is just not made for him to throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns like he used to be capable of.
Yeah, it's a tough sell. I don't have a ton of Chargers. Like I like the Herbert price. I don't take a lot of Ladd. I don't take a lot of Joshua Palmer, and so I just like don't end up with a lot of that team.
Yeah,
I feel like people are going to be like rioting in the streets if Herbert's just withering away on this team, throwing for like 225 yards a game.
Roman does not change for anyone, so it's interesting because we've only seen him succeed with a Kaepernick style quarterback and then a Lamar style quarterback. Like I'm curious. Herbert has some like sneaky athleticism, but I'm curious to see how that works with a more pocket style quarterback.
Yeah. All right, Andy, I wanted to see what you got going on with that contest. You had teased this a couple weeks ago. It sounded really cool. It was like salary cap DFS meets best ball. I'm going to pull this up on the screen. Let the people know what we're looking at here.
Yeah, so this is our currently only best ball contest. It's a $100,000 buy-in, no rake, as with all of our contests. First place gets 15 grand. There are no draft pods because you're not drafting a team. So instead, all 4,000 entries get put into one contest, and they'll play through week 14 like a normal best ball contest, and the top 25%, so the top 1,000 teams will advance to the playoffs. And then you'll have a week 15, 16, 17, just like normal best ball. Top 25% advance again, so the top 250 will advance to week 16. And then in week 16, the top 20%, so the top 50 teams will advance to the finals in week 17. There are small bonuses for the finishing top 10 in like payout structure, like finishing first in either the regular season 15 or 16, you get $1,000, and like, you know, kind of trickles down to just like a smaller payout. If you advance all the way through, no matter what you're getting, it's a $25 entry. You're getting like, I think it's $90 or $100 payout just for advancing all the way through. But yeah, and so as far as like the actual rules and stuff go, it's an 18 player roster, DraftKings style scoring. So there's the bonuses, it's full PPR. And the way that the salary cap works is it's based on the draft capital of the player's current DraftKings ADP, and it updates regularly. So we just updated it this morning. And so once you submit a team, that team is locked for forever. So you can like try to, you know, if you think people are going to rise, you can potentially get a price on a player who wouldn't otherwise be available. And so the most expensive players, CMC at just below 8,500, and they go down to 105 is the floor, which is 190 ADP. And after that, it's all even because those picks are like basically worthless.
And so, in that, like for people like when, you know, DraftKings is going to drop their week 1 salaries probably pretty soon. And then you get these fixed salaries, and there'll be some really poor misprices by the time week 1 rolls around, and that'll lead to mega chalk. But this will dynamically update in the same way an ADP would, which means you still can play like a closing line value game and build teams that other drafters won't have access to in a month.
Yeah, definitely. And so like, you already see that happening a lot with guys like Isaiah Pacheco and stuff, whose prices are already creeping up a lot in this. But yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I've seen some people posting some interesting lineups where you can do things in this that you can't do in a typical draft room. Like, for example, you can go like really interesting hero RB things where you just like take CMC and Bijan and be like, I'm going to maybe take a third running back. And like, you don't have to have 3 running backs that aren't quite all that good. Like, you can just spend a lot of money on 2, or like some interesting punts and stacks. You can, you know, hit whatever stack you want and build around it. So it opens up a lot of builds that you can't do in a normal draft lobby.
Well, that is probably the most fun thing to do, right? Get the pairings of players that you can't get in a snake draft.
Yeah.
So for Casey, we can just start right with a Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson team. I mean, that would just be so fun for him.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. And so you can see the salaries is only 50K, and so these like first round guys, they start to fill up your team really fast, which is why anyone who's in the last couple of rounds are, comparatively almost free.
And it's interesting. It's kind of like the same way we talk about like the scrolling the F down, how it gets a lot easier to do that once we get more information with training camp. I would guess that like once we know these depth charts better, that the studs and duds approach on this actually gets stronger. Whereas right now, if you do that, you're going to need like 4 really cheap guys. And it's like, well, how many actually solid cheap guys are there?
Yeah, it's interesting. You can like almost kind of do that. Like I was messing around on the first day with like studs and duds where you like punt QB and tight end with like 3 of each stacked, where it's like Bryce Young, Derek Carr, and Fields, or like a lot of there's a couple rookies like Drake Mays minimum price, although now he's like, who knows if he's even gonna play this season. Same with like JJ McCarthy, I think Bo Nix as well. So you can you can spend like essentially nothing on quarterback and tight end if you want to.
Let's try to build a team out. Casey, what's a combo that you'd like to start with? You want it? Does it have to? We could start with your guy Marv here.
Yeah,
I think Marv is a good place to start. I mean, the savings you have versus Jamar, I like that a lot. And then my favorite player to draft is Devonta Smith. I think he's like, I think it's going to be a very 1A, 1B type of situation in Philly rather than a strong 1 for AJ Brown versus Devonta.
What Andy, and then I was listening as you talked through the pod dynamic. So there is still definitely like week 16, week 17 correlation angles to consider, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, so week 17, it's a 50 player final, so you definitely still want to be stacking a bit. I think I'm certainly not the person to know what the cutoffs are for finals size, where week 17 stacking doesn't matter.
How big are the week 16 pods, did you say?
It's 250. It's one full 250, top 20% advance.
Okay, top 20%. So you don't have to get first. You can finish in the top. Cool.
Yeah.
And Andy, once you submit, it's locked, right? Like you can't edit.
Yeah, so that's basically to adjust for the prices changing all the time. Yep. It's cool. You submit and it's done. Let's
see here. Let's go around the horn and get some picks. We got 2 from Casey. Clay, let's get a pick here. We'll build out a logical team.
I mean, I love Devon Achane like in any setting, but at this price point, the upside, I think we got to squeeze him in.
So we can, so we basically play this as if we reached for Marv in the middle of the first, then take like Achane in the second and Devontae in the third, but get a little discount because we're not spending quite as much on our first round pick, I think is probably how we're thinking about this.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you almost like, I've kind of been thinking about it more like an auction draft almost, where it's like, I didn't pay up for the premier wide receiver 1. Instead, I waited till the middle of that like bidding war and got the 5th guy, since like you can skip out on first round players entirely if you want.
Let's see. Because we have Marv, maybe we don't go McBride. It seemed like we were a little lukewarm on Kincaid. You know what? Let's get a discount elite tight end. Let's put George Kittle on here. See what his price is.
So yeah, it's interesting because he's like half the price of Kelsey, the most expensive.
I like that. All right, Andy, do you want to make a pick, or should we shoot back to Casey?
Let's see. Let's try to fill out a little bit more in the cheaper range. I like on DraftKings knowing the updated prices. Where is he?
where you're
This is
basically getting the news before it gets refreshed on IKB?
Well, so we just updated the prices now, and so
Oh,
Jonathan Brooks has been dropping on DraftKings ADP. He's down to like 100 or so
okay.
there, and I believe no, it's not week 17 anything. They played Tampa, but he's someone who I've just been hammering in DraftKings lately because he's been dropping a ton.
All right, Casey, back to you. What do you like?
Is it too expensive to get Hurts with the current
can make it
setup
work.
we have?
I think we can work that. He's basically like our 4th round pick. And we are kind
Yeah,
of
we can definitely
building
work
as
with
if
that.
we're going round by round. Can Clay, who do you got for us?
Let's go a little cheaper here. Let's go. What's the price point on like Bateman and Curtis Samuel?
Oh, he's free. Bateman is like
Okay.
230.
We could save that.
Samuel's
What's
going to be
Samuel?
more. He's like the same price as Jonathan Brooks.
Let's put in Samuel. I think I like that. Bills bet. Offense is better. Bet against Keon a little bit.
Let me get how much does JSN
Challenge
cost?
us a little bit. About the same.
About the same
Okay,
as
yeah.
Samuel.
Let's toss JSN in here because again, I'm thinking through like
Love it.
we've now basically kind of done our first 8 or 9 rounds essentially of a draft.
Yeah.
All right,
Just
back
about.
to you, Andy.
All right. Let's see. I do kind of like, if we're going to go with JSN, I could be interested in doing like Seattle as our second QB because Geno's pretty cheap. And then we can potentially go with like a Lockett or Noah Fant or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, get that double stack. This is fun too because like you can really pull up your schedule.
You can really get into the
stacks
weeds
for each one.
That's what I was. Who's like a cheap player who we like from Dallas?
I mean, I like Rico Dowdle as a running back.
So here's all of Dallas. So Rico and Zeke are not too far apart.
So are you Rico over Zeke?
Yeah, for the way I kind of think about it, if I have like a 0 RB room where we need production, and maybe you could argue that with a Brooks pick, but I think with Achane as an anchor, I'd worry about it less. I am open to Zeke, like, hey, just give me these early touches, but I don't know. I have such a bias against Zeke. I kind of like Rico.
I'm fine with that.
I think it's
I feel like they both have a very similar like upside and downside in a lot of ways. And one's cheaper than the other, and so I'm happy to. It kind of reminds me of last season when we were as it got closer to the season and we were drafting both of the Commanders running backs, and they were just like ping ponging back and forth, one being higher, one being lower, based on like whatever the most recent news was. I feel like we're going to see the same thing with these two, where they're so close to each other that you're going to see one beat. Rico crushed it this week, and all of a sudden he jumps, and then the next week, Zeke is in on all the pass plays because he's a better pass blocker, and he jumps, and it'll just back and forth.
Yep. Philly week 17 is Washington. One of my favorite clicks is Luke McCaffrey late in drafts. Sorry, Andy, is this full PPR or the half?
It is full PPR. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good. I think even a slightly little better boost there
super
for Luke.
Free. If I can find him. Yeah, he's the stone cold minimum priced. So,
and then do we just have Hurts? Oh, we have Geno too.
Yeah.
So Minnesota's their 16, and then their 17 is Chicago. If you guys got any names in there.
Yeah, Chicago.
Oh, this was actually a question I had. how do you guys go about drafting like the Bears wide receivers? Do you have a clear one, or is it kind of just how the board falls and you're looking to get value and just be exposed to kind of all of them at the best values?
I have been drafting all of them, but I'm the heaviest on Keenan.
Okay.
Yeah, same. I DJ Moore, I don't get quite as much as the other two.
I also think in the full point PPR, like DJ Moore is pretty attractive on underdog just because he gets all that yak and can get there more on touchdowns. Where, I mean, Keenan, like, I know Rome's good, but like Keenan's going to be earning 10 targets off the rip, like every game.
Yeah.
I
think we probably want to spend a little more draft capital at wide receiver too. I think we could afford it.
You think we can afford Keenan?
I think
Let's try it.
We can see. I'm curious how it plays out from here, but I think we can do it.
How expensive is the best pick and best ball, Dontavian Wicks?
Ooh, that's a fun one.
Jam it.
12. Yeah, we could throw him in there. A running back, if we want a Minnesota that might fit well with this team, would be Ty Chandler.
Yep.
Yeah, he's nice and cheap.
Now we're cooking.
So we're
really, like, as the curve goes down.
We just correlated Minnesota across the board
quickly.
Yeah.
What did you say, Andy?
Like, the price really drops off quickly as you go to these, like, the teen rounds. And so you can, like, fill out kind of the back end of a team with pretty cheap players. Like Chandler being only $775 feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Where's Keaton Mitchell going in drafts?
Like basically undrafted.
Mostly free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You got any boots on the ground, medical staff updates?
Don't. Like, in 2024, the doctors we have, if they can reconstruct his knee correctly, like he was fantastic for the short period of time. And obviously we're not going to try and kill Derek during the regular season. But I unfortunately don't have any boots on the ground info on when he'll be back. But I feel like, I don't know, he's the type of guy that I feel like if he's healthy at the end of the season, can actually give you that 2 touchdown, 150, like he breaks an 80-yard touchdown in week 15 or 16.
What about
I think the Consigliere has a good point in the chat, which is interesting in that their percentage ownership is a thing now in this as well. So like if you wanted to have 100% of a player on every single team you could, there will be players that have less than 1% ownership versus the field.
H-Chan's probably similar.
An underdog, like drafted every time. And so I think that's like a really interesting wrinkle in this as well.
What if we can we afford Goddard with Hurts, or should we go down to Noah Fant and stack up our?
Well, let's see. So after Goddard, we're going to need 3 more players, and it wouldn't even have to be all minimum players. So I think our wide receiver room is pretty solid.
Yeah.
And so we'll probably want another running back or 2. So let's see. I think we can do it. So doing Goddard and Kittle here. Now we have 3 spots and a little less than $2,000 left. And so we can still take one more running back in this 1,000 range. And then that leaves us with like 2 players who are going in round 16, 15 to fill things out.
Andy, why is Taysom a quarterback?
I know. That's our one. He's like such an annoying thing. Like our data provider has him as a quarterback, even though DraftKings has him as a tight end. And so at least right now he is unpickable. He might.
I like this. Let's toss in Estime. He's one that's going to get more expensive. I know this is full point PPR, but 105.
And so that leaves us now. We have 2 spots left, 900 a player. And I think we probably are good at quarterback and tight end.
How are people feeling about Kendre Miller?
I like him. He scares the shit out of me, but I like him.
I'm having a vision where Alvin Kamara retires from football this year.
Just showed up at camp today, but I could see it.
All
He
right,
also
let's
tweeted out a
talk
photo
about
with Marshawn Lynch, so he's
I
going
just
beast
feel
mode.
like there's a world where he is just not playing football in week 10.
Yeah.
Completely made up off of nothing, but that's just a vision I had.
I'm with you in the sense that I think Kendre Miller is going to get a crack at this. I just don't know if he's good or not. I think
That's always the question. Are they
Yeah.
actually good at football?
Yeah, Gretchen Leone's pod on the NFC South kind of spooked me a little bit.
So we have 1,020 for one more. I guess it could be a running back or wide receiver.
Yeah, so we have 6 running backs, 7. We're currently at a 2-6-7-2 build.
And Andy, do you think they'll probably be? Is there merit to leaving a little salary on the table as a way to get unique?
I think so. I think it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same conversation of drafting ADP fallers versus scrolling down, kind of, right? Like drafting ADP fallers would just be like trying to spend 100% of the salary, and scrolling down to get unique in the last couple of rounds would be leaving $500 on the table.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
I think probably it doesn't matter that much. Like if you think about it, though, like $1,000 left on the table, you're leaving off a 13th round pick.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Whereas $500 left on the table, you're leaving off Kamani Vidal. $200, it's Noah Fant, Bryce Young, and at that point, it's like, who really cares? It's
Right.
not that big of a difference. So I think that's like a decent way to think about it. So it's like we probably don't want to be spending less than Marshawn Lloyd on this last pick.
Yes. I agree. Yeah, honestly,
we could alternatively swap Rico for Zeke if we wanted to stick with a Dallas guy and spend up a little bit and then move down.
Mm-hmm.
Or
like
swap
a Jalen
up a
Polk,
little bit.
I think could fit on this team.
What about getting rid of Dowdle, putting in and Dowdle and Goddard and getting Ferguson, and then spending that money and then going on that last pick?
Yeah, I kind of like that.
We could do
Or
that.
take out Wicks.
Just a better Cowboy to have on that week 17 with
Ferguson,
Phil.
or how expensive is Njoku? Because he correlates with HN. And I want to say, no, we don't have any Cincinnati.
So they're like the same.
Same. Okay, I think we go Fergie.
Yeah. Fergie's good. And then that leaves us 915.
For
I think a running back for this team, like Brooks, Estime, we could have a lot of. Let's get a running back here to round this out.
Oh, we have one quarterback.
What do we need? 450.
Yeah, so right now we're at a 2-5-7-2. We have 2 spots left.
My guy, I love my guys, Ray Davis or Bucky Irving.
I like Bucky.
All right, let's toss
Yeah,
Bucky
Tampa
there.
Bay
He goes
correlates with Dallas.
Jonathan Brooks.
We could do Brooks and Chuba and just play, like, give us the production, the front half, and then get the back half.
Kind of like that.
Considering how many rookie RBs we have, it probably isn't a bad idea to get someone with some kind of guaranteed early season production.
I like it. We'll basically have HN, Anchor, Chuba early, and then we'll have a bunch of the rookie hammers coming late.
It's fun.
Ship it.
All right.
That was fun, Andy. I can definitely see like going down the rabbit hole and then wanting to like sketch out your exposures and all that. I think that would be a lot of fun.
Thanks. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting game type. And to people, I saw a couple people asking about when we'll be in more states and all of that. We, I think actually might hopefully have some of that sorted out over the next month or so, along with not forcing you to use Coinbase and bridge funds to a blockchain you've never heard of to play.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic about that. We have some stuff in the works there, but yeah, I'm pretty excited. The reception has been really good so far about the contest type. I think it's like a pretty refreshing, fun way to think about best ball stuff that hopefully will stay fresh with the changing ADPs and all of that. But I'm excited to see how it
Yeah.
kind of plays out.
Yeah,
Sounds
love the
great.
format, man.
Yeah. Check out IKB, guys. Also should mention Underdog has a couple specials in the Pick'em lobby. I retweeted this earlier, but they have NFL discounts for week 1. You can get, Tua at 232 yards, Tyreek at 77. We know Casey's lining up to take advantage of that Tua discount there off the rip. Already placed.
Underdog also did just put out their 11 way pick to win 1,000x or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, Casey, let the people know what else is going on at Snapback other than showing up to one of your tailgates for a Jack, dunk tank.
If anyone is in any of the cities of the NL Central or lives in the Midwest, we're doing our NL Central tour next week. Just flash sailed those tickets. You get hat, obviously ticket to the game, giveaways, merch, and things like that. So we're doing that next week. 5 cities, 5 days, 5 games. And then we're just hammering home our YouTube. We're doing 12 college football games in the fall, and then three of the international games. We're doing Brazil, Germany, and London. So excited for the content that's going to be coming on our YouTube channel this fall.
Sounds awesome. You guys are crushing it over on that YouTube. I've enjoyed multiple of those videos. Check that out. Happy birthday to Jack, and congratulations to Snapback on their big extension with Underdog as well. Clay, any final words from you?
No, I just have a special request that Casey fires off a little dinger slip tonight for Underdog, and that's really my only thing I got today.
I can make that happen for sure.
Appreciate
there you go. Andy, anything else for you?
No, yeah. Thanks for letting me walk us through an IKB build. It was fun.
Yeah, no, that was a lot of fun. I'm excited to check that out and get some more entries in there. Tomorrow, have the usual shows, Swolecast. I think we're doing a college football draft over there. I know our long lost co-host, Mr. Tuttle, has been making projections. So if you thought we looked lost in an NFL draft, wait until we're doing a college football draft. And then we'll have Often on the Clock, of course, with Nez and John. And then if you want more shots of this backdrop behind Casey, Nick Herculano Thursday. Oh, I have another plug too. We booked on Lowell's the main event World Series of Poker champ, who's actually mired in a little bit of controversy right now. Jonathan, he's going to be coming on Lowell's on Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be really fun.
That's awesome.
To talk to him. He's a DFS guy too. So it'll be a fun combo. All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your afternoons. Thank you for tuning into the club. We'll see you guys next time.